Okay, I think this is now live, right? Finally. Are we still not getting throughput? We're live. Okay. Holy. What the? What did I just drop? Something very loud just dropped off my desk. I don't know what. What? Okay, never mind. Welcome everybody to this. Oh, it's the. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's just the remote for my monitor, which is also a smart TV apparently. Welcome everybody. This is a bit of a weird start to the stream, I will admit. I was trying to get dual streaming to Twitch set up because I was like, yeah, let's just take a look at that. Like, Restream doesn't take PayPal payment, but surely they have a competitor that does. And I found one, and it's around Black Friday, so I had a good deal, and then it just didn't work. So that was a waste of money. I'm going to look into it a little bit more over the weekend probably, or something like that. But it just seemed like it wasn't really working all that well, not going to lie to you. What we'll be doing today, though, is we'll be doing the same thing that we did earlier this week, but with different enemies. So earlier this week, you might remember, and if you don't remember, don't worry, we're going to catch you up right away. We created these 3 spells, which will summon in... Where the fuck are you going? Which will summon in these enemies over here, which largely seem to be a little buggy. But these are effectively just allied versions of the enemy monsters in the game. Why in the world they all seem so focused on this specific one, I couldn't tell you, but they are. So that's the idea, is we have 3 of those ready now, and we have a handful of enemies that we still need to make. Which also gives an opportunity to just revise their behavior trees in general, because some of them don't work fantastically, to put it mildly. So let's take a look at all that, and we'll see where we go from there. So, the enemies. We have, let's start with the ground enemies. We have the demon, the ghost, and oh, we don't have the zombie yet. There's actually one more. Okay, the zombie is very easy to do as well, so we're going to do that one first. But then we've got the shaman and the spider. Both of these are based on projectile stuff, which means that we need to revise how those projectiles work in the first place. Because right now, I think they just check whether or not they overlap with the player to deal damage. With an old damage system, I'm fairly certain. But of course, they need to check whether or not they overlap with... I don't know, man. I don't know how we're going to deal with that, to be honest with you. We'll figure it out, I guess. For now, though, I think we're going to start by making the zombie summon. So that's just going to be a copy of the ghost summon for now. And we'll call this zombie summon. Because this one is very easy to redo. It's effectively still just one of these. Like one of the basic demons with a different model. Slightly different behavior, but not that like majorly different. So let's... I don't know what this is going to... Oh, hold on, we need the details panel back. I don't know what this is going to look like. It's probably going to look kind of shit. But this is how we do. This thing is also... Why is this thing so big? Oh, because its scale is... Yeah, there we go. That's better. So yeah, these don't look amazing, especially the ones with like eyeballs in them, because of the way these materials work. They are actually like translucent, so we can now see the full eyeballs within every single model, which is not ideal. But I don't think we're going to change that, to be fair with you. I think we're just going to leave that as is. Maybe we have kind of the same thing going on here for the bottom of this character, but it's not actually that bad in this case. Like, that's probably fine. So let's just make the capsule component ever so slightly bigger for this dude. And then we're pretty good to go, I think. So we give him the zombie animation blueprint, which also turns him around by 90 degrees, because of course it does. Oh, fantastic. My internet is already shitting itself. This is why I don't stream to 2 places at once, with my own bandwidth. Oh, come on. I am legitimately going to just, like, get a different internet subscription and my roommates can just go fuck off. Because this is, like, what am I supposed to do? If I can't even, like, live stream a little bit because some fucker is using up all the upload bandwidth, which, why even? Are we stable? We're not stable. Can I make progress while nobody's able to watch? We're back at yellow. That's halfway stable. Are we stable? Nope. Dropping back down. Going back up. I think we're back online. Okay. Like, legitimately, the view count just halved when that happened. Because, of course, people leave when the viewing experience sucks. It's like, whenever that happens, that is legitimately damaging. Anyway. We've got this dude kind of figured out by now. At least as far as his visuals go. So we just need to make this the zombie behavior tree. And then we need to look into the zombie behavior tree. Which will open up right over here. And just to be thorough, I'm going to open up the basic tree. Been a while, hope you're doing good. I would be if my internet is stable enough. But that's not something that anybody really has power over. What are you progressing at the moment? Well, at the moment we are creating allied versions of all of the enemies. So we have a bunch of enemies. And I can just actually show real quick. We've got these items here on the ground. I pick them up. And the AI for them is not, like, particularly super amazing. But we can spawn these, like, allied versions of the enemy types that we have. Which requires a little bit of reworking of some of the AI trees. Because I want to have the behavior trees function the same. So the enemy version and the allied version run on the same behavior tree. It's just they physically do different behavior because they have different targets and slightly different, like, capabilities. But yeah, that's what we're working on right now. So we've gone through those 3 earlier this week, and then right now we're doing the next one, which is this dude over here. And this dude is actually fairly easy to do, I think, because what we do is we just do update blackboard target, which we can just put on here, I guess. Remove this, which means we don't need this selector now I think about it. So we have our target key. That makes sense. Gameplay conditions. Oh, no, we do need that. That's kind of annoying, right? This selector will always be run. So a decorator on this doesn't do anything. So in order for me to block out the rest of the behavior tree when we are like attacking or stunned, there needs to be a selector above this selector. Which I get why that works, but why doesn't the root itself also just do that? Anyway, so yeah, we have the attack for both of these attacks. So we've got the normal attack for left and right, but if the distances are longer than a certain amount, it does the dive ability, which that can just stay the same, I think. The only difference is that we do the moving stuff a little bit differently, but I think that's just a matter of honestly just copying this over, and that's why I'm thinking maybe we want to make this like its own, either its own like task entirely or just its own subtree, because this needs to happen in every enemy effectively, I think. Right? We either, if we're an enemy, we move to target, if target is visible, otherwise we move to patrol location, which is the last known location of that thing, which we're actually not updating anywhere, I don't think. So that doesn't actually work now that I think about it. That is a fantastic point. And if we're not enemy, we check whether or not it is a summon base, in which case it will just always move to a target. It doesn't bother about like whether or not you can see anything or whatever. And if it is an enemy that cannot see the player and doesn't like have its target set at all, it just goes into a patrol situation. So I think this kind of just does what it needs to do already, which means that we can go into our items. No, actually, we need to go into our abilities first. And we copy over the summon ghosts, which will turn into summon zombie. I'm also going to close the preview of the monitor for the stream, because it probably doesn't help to be like streaming down the stream as I'm streaming up the stream, if that makes any sense. So summon zombie. And with that, we just go into item assets. We take summon basic demon, duplicate it, summon zombie. We'll give that an icon for now. Let's see. Any fun icons that I can give this dude? Oh, the Android texture. That's fine. That makes sense. Zombie. Gameplay ability, summon zombie. And then we change this into the zombie item pickup. And let's see whether or not this one works. It's not attacking again, is it? Why did it do that the other time? Ah, fuck. The other enemy did something similar where it didn't attack. Oh, why did it do that again? So we check if distance is greater than 1,000, it does this attack. At a random chance, actually. So I probably should do the random chance first. Well, no, we definitely want to cool down first, right? You should definitely separate on task. Later on, you might want to add in-game commands, or for example, garden this spot and stand in this specific for puzzle or platform, so you can jump over them. Probably not, because that is already like part. Like those specific things are already part of their like patrol sequence, effectively. Because when they patrol, they, well, kind of. When they patrol, they have, I think, somewhere in here, I don't remember how it works exactly, but I think I do it based on a tag. So I give them in, I think it's just called like patrol tag or something like that. Destination, there is a variable somewhere in here. I think that checks that. I would have to figure out exactly where it is at. Maybe it is a... I don't remember what it's called. It's somewhere there. Where it like just picks specific locations that it can walk to, either sequentially or randomly. And if I need like very specific behavior out of a specific like enemy, he's going to get a different behavior tree anyway, most likely. Like this is just a base behavior tree that when I just plop something into the world, it should behave like this. But I want that to be the same between the two different versions. That said though, I probably, just for ease of access, can make this its own subtree, so that I just can introduce that subtree, just like run behavior. And I can use it as a subtree, right? Instead of having to copy over these set of nodes, because there we come into the issue where if I want to change anything about how this specific setup works, like add something small to it, you are right. I have to now go through like 50 behavior trees at some point to change that. So making this its own subtree is probably going to be what we end up doing. But that's one of those things where I'm going to first make sure everything works, and then we'll go back over and tweak some things. But yeah, this is probably gonna be a subtree. There is a Discord in the description, I believe, that you can join. Yeah. Just joining in, I have a question that's probably already the answer will be explained. You're using gas, so the abilities programmed are called from the behavior tree. Yeah, so I have this task here for the behavior tree, where when it's received, it checks whether or not the controlled pawn, I'll zoom in a little bit actually, it checks whether or not the controlled pawn has an ability system component. If not, I print the error message and I execute finish. But if it has an ability system component, it just gives that ability and activates it once from an array. So that way I can just like throw this task into anywhere really and tell it which abilities this can trigger. And it just picks a random one from an array, so I can give it multiple possible options to run. So for instance, if I go to this guy over here, like he first tries to do this ability, which is just the one ability here, zombie dive. But if this node fails, it tries to do one of two abilities, which is just a left attack or a right attack. And then it waits for a gameplay tag to be removed, and the tag that we're waiting for is just attack. So all these abilities give the attack tag to the owner. And then when the ability ends, that attack tag gets removed and we finish executing. So you can put a list of custom abilities pools that has access to. So yeah, this give ability and activate once is kind of nice because you don't have to like initialize the actor with the ability itself. It'll just give it the ability, activate it once, and then remove the ability again. So it can only like it will do it once, and you don't have to worry about like having to grant it and then remove it afterwards. If you don't want it to always have access to it, it'll just give it, do it, remove it. So why the hell is my dude not... This is the thing that we're trying to troubleshoot. Why the hell is my dude not attacking? I feel like the answer is he is attacking, because I think that was the issue that we had before, wasn't it? So, my dude. There we go. Oh, initially he doesn't have a target. We probably should fix that as well. Oh, yeah. Okay. So the issue is that I have this can see player thing. And can see player kind of messes with things a little bit. But I also think that it doesn't really work as well as I thought it would. So we're kind of just going to get rid of it and see if that fixes it. Yeah, so the idea was that it can only attack you when it sees you. Which is neat, because then it can't attack you when you're like standing behind it. But in practice, that doesn't really seem too relevant. This is at the moment, yeah, you see there, it actually like does the do. This project is running on 5.5 at the moment. I updated mostly due to megalights. It's also... Okay, does it damage him? Yes, it does damage him. I haven't really looked into the motion graphic stuff yet, because I don't really like do too much with that. But to be fair, it's probably good to take a look into that, because it feels at this point like maybe Unreal Engine, as weird as it is, could be a pretty decent replacement for Adobe After Effects in some ways. In other ways not, but in a lot of ways it seemed like it could be. The material design, yeah, I haven't looked at that either, like in depth yet. It seems like it's kind of cool to like actually have a layered based system properly. But it also seems much more limited in Substance Painter, so I don't really know about that. But I think we have the functioning zombie now, which is great because we have one enemy converted into an ally. But it also sucks because now we have to go do the difficult ones. So we have 3 left to go. 3 more enemies that we need to convert into like allied characters. The shaman, the spider, and the flying golem. I think the flying golem might be the easiest. Or the shaman. Or the spider. They're all going to be a pain in the ass in their own unique ways. I think we're going to go with the shaman, because that has the most... it's not even in this map. In this folder. Where the fuck did I put... Oh, I put them in here, didn't I? Yes. So I think the shaman is the one that's going to be the biggest deal to update. So let's do that first. Let's just put a shaman into the world and then mark it as start activated. And then we'll, of course, make one of these, and we'll do that, and all that kind of good stuff. BP, shaman, zombie. Did you figure out how to program flying enemies? My flying enemies are kind of really wacky. They don't do very well. I have found a plugin that will make flying navigation easier. So I'm hoping that that also makes their movement a little bit less fucked. Shaman zombie, now it's shaman summon. What the hell am I talking about? But I haven't really gotten around to that. That's one of those things that it works well enough for now, so I don't really feel like diving into it and like dismantling stuff majorly. But 3D navigation is difficult. For me, what it does is it does a capsule trace, and it just checks whether or not it has a direct line of sight to the position that it picked. And if not, it just picks a different location. So that's kind of what it does, but oh my goodness, I hate that all my characters are so out of proportion. I finally figured out why though, so like in the future that should be resolved, but for now it's really annoying to work with all these like legacy models. Yeah, so the issue with flying characters isn't specifically like their movement mode necessarily. Although swimming might work. There's just straight up a flying movement mode as well in Unreal though. Why can I not move it? Oh, because I'm an idiot. It's mostly the actual like navigation that is an issue, and then the movement itself, because Unreal doesn't really provide you with very many options when it comes to like three-dimensional movement. So it's a little annoying. But yeah. Okay. Shaman. Yeah, there we go. That's about right, I think. Maybe even a little low, to be honest. And then this also needs the behavior tree for the shaman. Yeah, which is this one. So we're going to... Oh, this is actually... this is a problem now that I think about it. Because this dude is programmed to run the hell away from us. I don't know how well this is going to work, but we'll figure it out. This guy has a different blackboard as well, so that's maybe interesting to figure out. So yeah, move to a new flea location. Actually, I guess this should run each time when it's activated, so that it does it right away. We'll worry about detailing this kind of stuff later. So yeah, his movement... there's actually a fantastic question. How does this... I think this just takes the player... Yeah, so it just takes the furthest... What the... Oh, so that's why it just doesn't work. Oh, but that helps. Because then we can do queried actor, and we can get AI controller. We can get blackboard. And then we can get key as object, get value as object. I did a few flying enemies a few years back. I would trace in 6 directions, get the player location, and use the environment query to find an empty space that it can move to that way. Since I could not properly use the nav mesh. Yeah, something like that is kind of... I think we just want to provide a single location, to be honest with you. Something like that is probably what we'll end up having to do. It provides single actor, and that just provides the player character. Well, we're not going to be doing that anymore. Because we do this. So the queried actor, key name, make literal name, target. We probably should make this just a function on the enemy, to be honest. Well, no, because that also needs to run up. Do they need to share? We won't do that. I guess we just... Oh, that needs to be cast to an actor. Cast to actor. I guess only when the cast succeeds will we return this. Otherwise, I don't know what we'll do, but we'll just see how this works. You can probably just add a Boolean variable to gate some of the behaviors so to not trigger it when spawned by the player. I mean, yeah. But making the tasks function in such a way that they... that the tasks themselves take care of it saves me from having to like juggle a bunch of possible states in the tree itself. Simplifies the tree a little bit. It makes the tasks slightly more complex in some ways. But like in cases like this, instead of just like hard coding, getting the player character, getting the target from this thing and like basing it all on that is a better way to do it anyway, right? So, question is, how does this work? Because I think we do a grid and we pick the furthest away from our, well, it's not player context anymore. Let's just change the name as well, because otherwise that's going to confuse me in the future. This is a target context. So it's going to run away. When it's at a safe distance, it will check gameplay tags on actor. Actor to check his ability system components. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Get rid of this one. What is up with this patrol compared to like this? We just have a better solution for that now, right? I haven't been in this behavior tree in forever. Also, why is patrol location something from flee location in this case? That's just the location that you move to. Like, that doesn't need to be a separate key. Right, we can just change this blackboard to use the like basic demon blackboard still. And just set this to set it to patrol location, I think. I wish there was some way to tell a service to like run immediately, but only the first time you run through it. Right? Because I can say call tick on each start, but that's going to call tick on each start, which is a bit much because this is always running. And it's switching between branches rather quickly in some cases. And it is, I mean, it is doing like a bunch of for loops and a sphere trace every time it runs, which, like, you don't want to do that too much, obviously. Yeah, the behavior trees don't have a do once, which would be fantastic if they did. It would also kind of undermine the point of a behavior tree to a certain extent, I guess. But it would be really nice to just have a like a blackboard thing that would lock itself after having been run once. It's not that difficult to do that, of course, because you can, in theory, just like make it reference a thing on the blackboard, but then you need a blackboard key for that, and I don't like that because I like being able to share like the same blackboard between the different things that I use. Anyway, let's see how the shaman itself gets on. First and foremost, it needs some updated starting stats because we changed that. Isn't that a behavior state? A do once or change? Don't know what I'm talking about, probably. Not really. Because what you could do is you could just like add in, it's kind of what I had in the other behavior trees, right? You could just add in like a different, I'm just going to do a selector node for the example. So that it runs this once at the start. And then after that, it ignores this because it's run it once and then it just does the rest of the behavior tree. And you could, if that's a decorator, you can just like make that as complex as you want, right? You can make an entire like other logic tree under it. And it just runs once at the very start, and then it does all this. It would be kind of nice to have that. I guess that does make a little bit more sense in the context of like a state machine. So maybe like state trees off or something like that. I haven't really like looked into state trees enough once I found out that there's like next to no debugging tools for them. Because that's not how we do. I want to be able to debug my stuff. So yeah, let's update all this real quick. So mana and mana can just go. We don't use that anymore. These two we also don't use anymore. But now you have health. So you do an attack. That's fine, but you should be running away. Okay, don't know what that did. You should be running away. Why aren't you running away? I'm gonna put this on my other monitor to see what his behavior does. He does an ability. It's all good. But the ability doesn't end. Oh, the ability only ends when... Oh! That is interesting. So the ability only ends when... Well, the ability ends. Like when those projectiles stop existing. The ability is still ongoing, still ongoing, still ongoing. And now the ability is done for. So now you should run away from me when you... Why is it stuck in... doing a query? Why does it attack me when I'm that close by? It shouldn't do that. This dude's behavior is a little wonky. I'll be the first to admit. But I'm not dying, so that's good. It's stuck in a run EQS query. Why does it take so long to run a simple query? That's weird. Oh. Okay, so part of the issue with not running away is that because this is no longer able to refer to the flee location, it just defaulted to the blackboard key for self-actor. So it's trying to move to itself, which of course it's already there. So that is probably why the running away didn't really work that well. So we do this. It's all fine and good. My dude, you're supposed to... Oh. Yeah, okay. So, apparently, this blackboard condition for distance to players less than 500 doesn't abort anything. So, I think I want to abort both, right? So, when the distance to player is greater than 500, you should stop moving. No reason to run away. Maybe let's make that like 750. But the moment it becomes less than this, you should move to running away. I think that'll fix that. Is it? Is it moving toward me? It's moving toward me. I don't think... I don't think that's what I meant for it to do. What? Yeah, so it gets the target as the context, and then what it does is it generates a... Somebody's like yelling outside and it's really quite like distracting. Oh, it does have parameters, does it? Oh, nice. It has parameters. I didn't even know that. So that might be why. Okay. It was using Blackboard keys, I think, to set those parameters. So I wanted to generate around the player for a grid size of 800, and then the space between is 200. So it only generates a handful of points, realistically. It's not that many points. But a moment ago, this had like two little bool values where it said use Blackboard key. So it was using an empty Blackboard key for both of these, which probably meant that it's generating a grid of size 0 with distance 0. So always on top of the player. I think that is what was happening. So now it should actually run away from the player. Nope. It's fucking magnetic. It's attracted to the player, which... Why does it move toward the player? It should move away from the player. Any chance it gets. I don't understand this. Unless this is just like getting the wrong value. But like distance 2. So it's the distance to the target context. Scored linearly. So that should be the highest should be the furthest away. Am I missing something? It just wants a hug. It's a very friendly little dude. It just wants a hug. I also sort of had another overlay just on screen still. Yeah, prefer greater, right? Where do I even like set that? It's a hog, not a bog. I like that ID. Normalization type, absolute. None of this should matter. Surely it's not because I changed the context, right? If I just get player character here, it should still do the same thing because the target was the player character. Yes. I guess I just don't understand what's going on. We can do an inverse linear, see if that makes it behave like I would expect it to behave. Yeah, okay, so that does what I needed to do. Now it runs away from me. Okay, I think fundamentally misunderstood what's going on there, and I still don't really understand why that works that way. But sure, it runs away from its target until it is at a safe distance, at which point it will start spamming spells. I also think that I'm going to change something about this guy's behavior tree, because it's kind of like a little weird with how it works now. Where the hell did it even go? Oh, it's on my other monitor. That's why I can't find it. Holy shit. Yeah, so now it does this spell when the distance is less than 1200, and when it's even further away, it does this spell. If anything, this should be the other way around, because this spell is the lightning bolts, and this spell is like the curse. So I think it should be the other way around, if anything. But what I really think is that it should just do one of the two at random. I guess except for the fact that this guy has a different... that's actually a good point. Yeah, so let's just rotate these around and maybe make this like, he's gonna run away to 750, so let's make this like 1100, and then if he's even further away then like 1350, like 1500 maybe, even gives him 400 units of distance that he does this attack in. I think that would make more sense. So I don't know, man. I guess what we do instead, yeah, I think I just want it to be random. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think what we'll do is we'll take this ability, put it in here, remove this, and remove this. And then inside of the ability, we'll just check whether or not it should be able to do that. So Shaman Curse is just a basic projectile. Activation own tags is shaman.curse. So we just, hold on. Block abilities with tag. Abilities with these tags are blocked while this ability is active. So if you just take this same, yeah, this will make it only be able to do this once at a time. I think that's, yeah, I think that works. I'll do you one better, actually. It's never going to re-trigger another cast of any spell while a spell is being activated, because the ability doesn't end until the spell ends. So none of this actually matters. Okay, let's test it out before I celebrate a little too early. You do your spell, make me run away. Okay, that works. Also, my audio is coming through my speaker, so hopefully that's not like causing any echoing. Yeah, I think that works. So in theory, that should have also allowed us to ice penis. Create. Oh, we already had a shaman. Just needed to create the ability for it. Player abilities. Let's actually make a folder with summons. Also, I don't know why my caps lock was on there. Because we have all this stuff. Might as well categorize it a little bit more. So summon zombie. Make summon shaman. You might think that we're done with that now, but we're not. There's one very important thing that we still need to do. Summon shaman. There we go. Because this fucker spawns in a thing that, ooh, this might actually be, ooh, that's, yeah. This is actually more annoying than I thought it would be, maybe. Let's see. Because I don't remember how this works. Because I think what it does is it just starts up that ability and then, or that animation, and then the animation is the thing that spawns in those projectiles. But I think it does that through a function on the, oh no, I hope I'm wrong. I think it does that through a function on the enemy blueprint, in which case like those don't aren't accessible on this guy. So let's see. Hopefully I'm wrong. I mean, I don't think we're using this anymore. Bolt attack, yeah. So cast a shaman, spawn lightning. And then cast a shaman, spawn runes. I guess we can just take this and put it into here instead. There's no reason that that should be... And then we don't have to cast anymore either. So I think that gets me out of a difficult situation fairly easily. So character, well, I guess it's not gameplay character at this point. It's just a target. So we have we had that target context, right? Yeah. So we just do this. So instead of like doing all that, because we do have to cast this to act. But if you don't have a target, this shouldn't run anyway, so that's fine. And we add the gameplay tag to that instead. And then we spawn this at the target's location instead of directly on the player character as well. And the control actor will be get pawn owner. So that should make this a little bit more reusable. Is there any reason to not that you're not collapsing any of these nodes into functions? I mean, if it's code that I'm going to reuse, it'll be a function. But if it's just like this is just this needs to happen once in this, like when this specific thing is called. So I just like kind of throw it into an event. Could make it a function, but effectively there's not really a difference between an event or a function. And this just allows you to see multiple things at a time. So when there are like small things like this, it's nice to just have them all next to each other instead of like in separate tabs. So yeah, here we do. I mean, do you think there's any harm in doing it? I mean, you can collapse them into functions if you want to. There's no real harm in doing that. Just gets kind of annoying having to go between like a lot of different tabs. Like I have some other things that use more functions. Like if I go into my player character, I think maybe. Our player character itself doesn't have a lot of functions. Yeah, most of those are C++. That makes sense. And the same will go for my enemy. That's kind of the thing. Like when I write a function that needs to either like be reused a lot or is more complex, that usually like lives in C++. When I'm doing something in Blueprint, it's usually a fairly like basic linear thing, and there's like a lot of fairly basic linear things here. But you'll note that like most of these events only have a handful of nodes after them because it's just like create this thing and then set it to a variable. The only way that I really like actually do things inside of functions usually is because I can take advantage of local variables, which is nice. But that's again, that's the kind of thing. If I'm doing that, it's a good chance that I'm doing it in the C++. But I have a example for let's see, enemy base, I think it's called. I have this interface function for applied damage, right? This is just my own damage dealing thing that provides in a little bit more information on Unreal's built-in damage system. And there I have, well, I have spawned hit particles because I wanted to be overridable by the child classes of this thing. And then I have the deal damage function. itself, which has a handful of local variables. So this is a function in of itself in Blueprint because I want to be able to use some local variables. That's where I actually like make it into a function. But there's not a lot of situations where I make something into like, what the fuck are you even on about, man? Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. There's not a lot of things that I end up like doing that require or really like have a lot of use behind using proper functions and also being in Blueprint, usually. What the? Oh, that makes sense. I have a question. Can I have Unity and Unreal Engine both? I mean, you can use both, but like you're gonna need to work inside one engine or the other for a project. But if after one project you're like, I'm gonna switch engines again and go to Unity or Godot or Unreal or whatever, I mean, nobody's like forcing you to use any engine. Let's see if this still works. Yes, it does. But there is the issue that the actual like lightning bolt now, I think, just checks whether or not it's overlapping with the player. Maybe not. Huh. Hold on. This might be really good for me because I think this means that these attacks should always, well, actually, where does it spawn the next one? Because I think it spawns the next one. What? Where does it actually spawn the next one? I mean, when it's the last spawn. Let me just check out that ability, because that ability might be taking care of that. I think it's just a normal, yeah, projectile ability. What the hell? How did I set this up? And why does it make no sense? Because it works. Oh, hold on. I'm an idiot. It's a timer, so it spawns trail attack spawn. Then it gets instigator, transform, find spawn location. Yeah, and then find spawn location just it gets the player character, right? So what we do instead is we get AI, get controller. Do we need the gameplay statics for that? Nope. Oh, this is not a pawn. This is just that thing. Yeah. So I guess we get instigator. A pawn. We can do this in one line. Get instigator, get AI. No, just get controller. And then we can cast that. So we AI controller, AI controller equals casts to AI controller this thing. There we go. I mean, I can do this within the if statement itself. The reason that I don't want to do that is because I guess I could. What I actually want to do is like, if not, AI controller return. Just the actor. What the fuck? Get actor location. But I can also just put all this in here. Right. Instead, and then wrap everything in that. That might actually, that works fine. And if that doesn't trigger, then we return actor location. That actually is like, that is a little bit more compact. That is true. I like auto. I personally don't, because it makes it, like, unless you need it for whatever reason, because you just like don't know what'll be happening. But if you know that something is going to be a specific type, like throwing in an auto makes it more difficult to read. I find, anyway. So yeah, we have, instead of this, we use the, then we get the, I guess we can just, controller, get blackboard components, get value as object. We can actually just do this within the if statement as well. I mean, if we're going to do that, right, we might as well just do a actor, target actor, and then throw one of these in there. And this just takes in a name, right? So we can just say target. And now, but I mean, this should be cast to a actor now. That is fair. No, it shouldn't. Oh. Okay, this might this might start being a little. Yeah. Now that becomes a little ridiculous to do that all in there. Let's just, we don't need to make a separate blackboard component thing here. We can just make a actor target actor equals, it's just called target now, not target actor. It's convenient if the types were to change. I mean, yeah, that's true. But I also, I don't think it particularly like has, I've actually like never looked that up. That's a fantastic question. I don't think it particularly has like performance impact. C++ does using auto cost performance. Great question. Don't know if it does. I don't think it does, because it'll... Surely that'll just like get figured out during compile time, right? Yeah, it doesn't make your code slower. The order keyword is used for type interface, allowing the compiler to deduce the type. Yeah, so it's something that gets resolved at compile time anyway. So there's no runtime overhead. So there's no really like downside to doing it in that regard. But I also think that you probably like shouldn't throw it in everywhere. Only when you don't know the type that you're going to get like given in. If you know the type that you're going to get given in and you're just worried about changing it later down the line, you should just probably change it to keep your code as readable as possible, in my opinion. But as with many things, you can use it however you want. I never use types anymore. You see, I wouldn't want to read your code though. In that case. If literally all your variables are auto, that seems like a nightmare to actually like deal with. I suppose if you do like really, really good commenting in your code, that makes up for it. But at that point, like you're investing a lot of time commenting your code, while the code could also just explain itself. Yeah, so I think this fixes all that. I guess we do need to like do a check on target actor real quick. Because we also want to return if that's the case. ID gives you the type. Yeah, I guess if you just like hover over it and it has a tag with like the type because of your IDE, why not? Seems like a pretty bad habit to get into though. All right, all that figured out. Let's, we can just do this with live coding, that's fine. Didn't really add any like new members or whatever. So this shouldn't be a big issue. It's going to crash in like 5 minutes because that's what live coding does. But for testing purposes for right now, I just want to see whether or not the... It's the wrong spell, man. I want you to do the other one. Please attack me. Thank you. And now you attack me with the other thing. My dude. My dude. Hello? Okay, please. Like, lightning bolts. Wrong one! That's a little annoying. Maybe that should be like its own thing. Please try to electrocute me. Please. God damn it! It's a 50-50. How does it land there 3 times in a row and now I get hit? Okay. Zap me. Zap me. There we go. Okay, so that still seems to work. That's fantastic. Now, I think we already had a summon shaman thing. So the only thing we need to do, I think, yeah, we already have this, and then we already had the summon shaman, so we can go into the items. Probably make a folder for this one as well, but for now it'll be fine. Summon shaman. And then we need to worry about actually dealing damage with this thing as well, but that's up next. I guess that's the icon that we're using. Shaman. Before I do any of that, let's save. Because we are in in live coding land, and that's not the most stable thing ever. Okay. Not exactly what I had in mind, not gonna lie. And he just fucks off. He just leaves. Because he can't find the target, presumably. What's going on, right? Actually, for troubleshooting purposes, let's remove this dude. Oh, did I not? No, I did. Actually, this is still just a basic projectile. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh, I think I know the issue. Yeah, so these runes just automatically on event tick update their location to the player's location. This should be just target actor. And then it fixes everything immediately. I guess that can be a character, that's fine. Just needs to be exposed on spawn. So when we spawn this thing in, let's refresh nodes. Oh, no, refresh nodes. The target actor will be like... You know what? We'll just change this to an actor. It's always gonna be a character, or at least a pawn, I guess. So how's it go? It's been buried in my blueprints. I missed a little bit. The shaman's proving to be a little bit difficult, but I think we're doing fine. So let's try again. And again, after we get this working, we still need to... What? Dude! Not cool! Why are you taking... Why are you spawning those things on top of me? It has a target. Its target is Ghost 2. Fantastic. So, why are you just walking around? My guy. You should be doing like your attacks, your spells, your things. What? He's not. Why isn't he? Nothing changed about anything to do with... Oh, maybe the cooldown... No. Let's get rid of the cooldown for now, just for testing purposes. We can always put it back on. The first thing he does is go the other direction, which I guess that's kind of what we programmed him to do, but... My guy. Okay, at least the lightning spell goes after the right enemy. It doesn't deal damage to him, of course, but that's like a separate thing entirely. Why does it do what it do? Because the runes should definitely be going after the target actor. Oh. Yeah, no, that's why. You can tell that I made this like a year ago because there's like a lot of things that I wasn't super used to doing in a in a sensible way. One of these fuckers should have like a curse thing on them, but I don't think they do. Okay. Not gonna lie, kind of weird. Well, at least this one works. Now the only thing is when he does a spell, he also like turns toward me, but he should be turning toward the target of the spell. But that is entirely a... Why is he stuck in do ability? He's stuck in doing an ability, so he's not moving anymore. Yeah, this guy's kind of... What the hell? But... Oh. We never... Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense, doesn't it? We never set this value, so it's not actually properly getting set anywhere. That's maybe also the reason that that bug happened. Maybe, possibly. Well, I guess we'll see. But also, while we are at it, we might as well the projectile basic attack. Right, it just sets the rotation based on this like look at rotation that we have somewhere around here. I think. Maybe? Oh, yeah, you set actor rotation. So we get the X and the Y remain the same, but the Z is from the thingy jig. So we just really like if not just making this a function on something somewhere, I should make a blueprint function library that just has this in it, like get target actor, because I'm using this in a lot of places now. And it's gonna be a problem at some point. I guess we just keep this as a normal. And this is a little messy. Excuse me for being a bit of a... Yeah, that's kind of ugly, but who cares? Now we should also like turn toward the thing that he's casting it to. So run away from your target, and then... Well, at least that is rotating around the right dude. It doesn't damage him, of course. But wait. Why? Okay, that's kind of weird. I guess when we send it in the exact right spot, he freaks out because he doesn't know who to follow. Yeah, so this guy is just following this guy who's just running away, which I guess makes him a good distraction, if nothing else. Yeah. Yeah, so here the get blackboard. Oh, controlled actor. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So that's why he wasn't turning to anything, I think. He also can't really quite make up his mind on which way to face when he's running away. I guess... Okay, let's take a look at the logic for this guy. Because we might want to turn these two around. So that he tries to like cast magic first. No, that doesn't make sense. We need to do it this way. This also doesn't need to be a sequence, like, at all. I don't know why I put that as a sequence. At some point it probably was a sequence. I wish you could say, like, certain tasks are not interruptible. That would also be kind of cool. Because I definitely want... Like, I want this decorator to stop these, but not this. So let's think through if we can make that happen. The most logical way would be to give this a slightly lower priority than the attack. But the issue is, this is always going to fire before this, because less than 1100, if you're less than 750, you're also less than 1100, so it's always going to do this. But that's the point, isn't it? No, it's not. But that means he's never going to run away. Yeah, because it's always going to do this before this, so it's never going to do this. Or you can ban it running away multiple times. Now, but that's the issue, is this, like this decorator over here, should at any point when it's in this sequence, cancel this sequence and do the running away. But then it shouldn't run away if it is in the middle of doing an ability. So this needs to have a higher priority, because this both will cancel itself and anything with a lower priority when the result of this observer changes, right? So this should be unaffected by it, but how do we set this up in a way that makes sense to do? I guess what I want just like doesn't logically add up to a certain extent as well, right? I guess what we can do is we can actually, if we put this back into a sequence, right? We can make him run to a safe location when this is less than 750. We can make him run to a safe location. This should only then abort... yeah, that's a good idea. So they should only abort self, which or only lower priority rather. And this will then just like when it runs away, after it finishes running away, it'll do an ability. So that doesn't actually solve my issue. I think in general, enemy that always runs away is kind of annoying to deal with in general. But that's kind of the point. He attacks from a distance. And he doesn't run away that quickly. Like, it's very easy to catch up with him. He doesn't have a lot of HP and all that kind of stuff. Just a suggestion, give that enemy a teleport ability. I already have a different enemy with a teleport ability that uses it aggressively, not defensively, to be fair, but runs away one time, can't run anymore, it needs to attack. I mean, that's not a bad idea, but it's still like, there should be a solution for what I want here as well. I just like have to think of it. But it's good to like find other creative solutions when presented with problems. So let's just like draw out real quick what I wanted to do, because that'll maybe help me. So we have enemy location, right? And we have player location. This has a certain radius in which it doesn't want to have a player around. So let's make that blue. I think maybe like, do we have a circle tool on this? Maybe. Alt? No. Caps lock? No, I don't know if we have a circle tool, to be honest with you. We'll just use a box. What was the box again? That's the box. So it doesn't want to have a player around it within this box, which is actually more accurate because it does it based on a grid. No, it does it based on a... Anyway, doesn't matter. It doesn't have the player inside this. So when the player like is inside this, it should run away, but only when... Oh, hold on. Yeah, now when it is attacking, it just doesn't run any logic at all, does it? Yeah, that's supposed to be what we do, I think. So when we're attacking, when we have the attack tag, we just don't do anything at all. So then this does work. Now we don't need to have this anymore either. I think that's what we do. Yes. If the enemy is still in range after using teleport, you can teleport. Hold on, let's test this thing first. And then I'll read when I'm not getting chased. Yeah, so now it doesn't run away at all. Oh, now it's running away. But since the enemy itself that's chasing it is also very slow, it's going to be infinitely running away. Yeah, so maybe as a... oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe as an allied summon, this one doesn't actually like fully make a lot of sense. Also, he just keeps going, doesn't he? Just keeps on going. Do you not have any... Oh, you don't have any collision checks yet. Okay, need to do that as well at some point. Yeah, so this guy just doesn't stop going. Why would that be? Well, when he's very far away, he does. I don't know. Let's see. If the enemy is still in range, kind of gives up on running or can teleport away as many times in a row. You could also add a blue close to the enemy. I mean, all this sounds pretty fun, but I think this sounds pretty fun as a different enemy type. Which, like, definitely something to keep in mind. Like, something that just teleports away. That makes it a lot easier to program, I'll give you that. So yeah, he does ability, and that thing, and then he runs away. But running away, like, what does he try to... He runs away to, like, very far away, doesn't he? Why does he run that fucking far? Yeah, so I think I might have made a mistake. I think I understand what the issue is with him running away. It's running this query every about half a second. But the query itself is not centered around the target context as I thought it might. The query itself is centered around the enemy. So what ends up happening is something a little like this. We have the enemy, or in this case the ally, is constantly generating possible points to go toward, right? It's more than these points around it like this, but let's just go for like these 8 points around it. And it's picking the point that is the furthest away from its target. So in this case, it will always move in this direction, right? But because it's always generating new points twice a second, once it's reached this place, it's going to be generating... Do I have like more colors? Do I have like purple? I do. It's going to be generating even more new points. At which point, it will be moving away again, which is why it moves away infinitely. So what it needs to do is it just needs to generate the points around the enemy instead. Like this is what it needs to do. So where do we set that up? Suggestion number 2, someone that runs away is kind of weird in my opinion. No, because it also takes aggro away from you. Like that's what this summon could be good at. And it's also not running away. Like the fact that it infinitely runs away is a bug. It's supposed to run to a safe distance and undo its spells. But even if it like ends up distracting a handful of enemies for a little while, like that in and of itself has some use. So I don't think it doesn't make sense. It makes more sense as an enemy than as a summon, admittedly. Oh yeah, generate a round courier. Yeah, no, that should be target context. Yeah, so if we change that, I think it should fix effectively the like infinite running away, right? So now it does the spell thing, and then it I think should. Okay, so now then it just moves to okay. Look, that guy's a little confused right now. No, it still infinitely moves away. Oh, because the target is also chasing it now. Yeah, okay. So there might be a little bit of a logic issue. To be fair. No, because now so at some point he just gets far enough away. And I think what we do in order for this guy to be a little bit more effective is the summon version is just going to have a higher movement speed. So the shaman summon, we go into the character movement. Instead of its max walk speed being like 200, we give it like a max movement speed of like 500, which means that he's going to be zooming around. But that means that he moves faster than most of the enemies. So he actually like reaches a safe distance and can do like his spell. And then he can like run away and reach a safe distance again. Not that it matters, because these guys can't actually die. Why do you not stop? He's stuck in the ability, I think. Yeah, he's stuck in the ability. If it's faster, then all enemies will be God, essentially. No, I don't think so. Oh, no, maybe. Hold on. Last spawn, instigator. So yeah, it doesn't end the ability on last spawn. Why doesn't do that? Does it just not like forward the instigator properly? That might be it. Yeah, I think that's it. Because we're spawning it here, right? Like we... it's just the find spawn location. Hold on. Oh, yeah, spawn. Spawn parameters. Spawn params instigator is get instigator. No, so that should forward it. That should forward it, I think. Something like lightning bolt to lightning bolt. So let's just do a quick print stream on last zappy zap whatever. Just to be clear, by the way, this guy, the enemy version, still is fairly slow. So you can still catch up to it. It's just the summon version that gets faster. Like they're entirely separate blueprints. Not just the same blueprint with like with a different texture on it. They use the same behavior tree, but the movement component on both has like entirely different settings. Or can entirely have different settings. Well, that's not what I thought I was going to do. Anyway. Do the lightning thing. Why aren't you doing anything? Lightning? Lightning. Okay, so it does actually trigger the... Okay. In that case, let's print out the display name of the instigator. From a game design perspective, how useful are the summons supposed to be? Like not stupidly overpowered, but also not entirely like useless. Like moderately useful is how I would describe them for the most part. And they serve a handful of different functions. The easiest one just being, hey, deal damage to enemies. But there's also distracting enemies. Let me... Yeah, of course, that's not going to work very well because something else is printing strings. I don't know what. I don't know what else is printing strings. Okay, let's just do this slightly differently then. Append last lightning. We can also just make this like red. Do you have a tank type summon? Not yet. But this guy kind of fills a similar role. The summons themselves can't die. They just live for a... At least that's the idea I have right now. They just live for a set amount of time. So a tank type would just be something that either like lives for a long time. Hey, why aren't you attacking, you shithead? Either something that just lives for a long time, or either something that can like move away quickly, like this guy. But more likely, like a tank would be something that just would live for quite a while. But I don't really have an enemy that fits that mold quite yet, so I don't have a summon for it yet. You should definitely have a target and be trying to kill it. Because your behavior should, like, that's the thing, right? His behavior isn't just running away from a target. Oh, no, it is actually, isn't it? Okay, hold on. I have a better idea in that case. You shouldn't patrol at all. This guy should not patrol at all. What this guy should do is it should always, unless it is... Yeah, so it should always be trying to get within... I think this makes more sense, and it actually very much simplifies his behavior tree to like a ridiculous extent, to be fair. What he should do is he should be trying to get to a safe distance at all times. But when his distance is greater than a certain amount, but also less than a different amount. So if he's within like a safe area, I feel like maybe is what we should be looking at. So it should be lower than like 2000. But maybe greater than, let's say 750, because that's what this was looking for. So if it's outside of that area, it will move toward that range, right? Whether it be away from or toward its target. And now I'm just hoping that this also works for the... Yeah, okay. So it's within 2K, I think. And then it sits around for a bit, and then it does an attack. As long as its attack is going, then it moves away again, and does another attack. And then it gets stuck, because we still have that bug. But will it not have any target if it is in a level that there is nothing for it to do? Yeah, but you can only only be able to spawn these things in as a player when those enemies are around, because like the gameplay ability for the spells themselves checks whether or not you're actively in combat. The only situation in which one of these will be around without a target would be if you kill your target before this thing despawns, in which case... that's actually a good question what it would do. I think it would just do, like, because this query uses a target context and this only works when this cast succeeds. I think it just won't update the location that it's supposed to move to, but that's certainly something that we should like figure out. Because it's not going to return anything if this cast fails, which means that it doesn't have a target object that is an actor. Which I assume either means that the location key will get zeroed out, so it'll try to move towards 000, or it won't get updated. Like, it'll do one of the two. And I'm hoping that it does, just not updating, but I'm not entirely sure. The player is very far away. Would the enemy still move away from the player? No, because it tries to move to an exact distance from the player. It's not always trying to move away from the player, right? That's the thing that I just like did the drawing for. Like, if this is the enemy and like this is the player, it doesn't just always move away from the player. What it does is it samples some places around the player, I think in a 800 unit grid or something like that. And it takes like something like this, and then it could be a little bit more intelligent about it, but it takes the distance from the player from those points that is the furthest away. So if it's over here and the furthest away is this one, it's going to be moving toward the player. If it is within that radius, it's going to be moving away from the player now. So it doesn't just always like mindlessly run away. It runs to a very specific distance. But if it's spawned in the level, it needs a target for its movement logic. What do, if the player is like 5,000 units, 50,000 units away? If it is spawned by the player, there's going to be enemies around. If it's not spawned by the player, that means that it's like an enemy version, which means I placed it, which means that it's only going to be activated when I tell it to activate, which means that there's a player nearby, because these enemies only get activated when you enter trigger volumes that are linked to them. And if it doesn't have a player around, like, so yeah, if I just like put down the enemy variant, so shaman enemy, wherever the fuck it is, here. If I just put this down like this, you will notice that it doesn't show up, because by default, enemies are turned off. I have this like start active pool. Which will make them start active, and I just have this mostly as a debugging thing. But usually, like in-game, they don't start as active, and what ends up happening is I have this, fucking, what is it called? I think it's like load actor or something, like load enemy. Like enemy activator, which is just an overlap box that has an array of enemies that when I overlap with it, get activated. So let's just, no, technically speaking, it's not ideal to do it with scaling, but I don't care. So now if I walk toward here, you can see that activates it, and that'll only activate when I am near, because necessarily it's done through collision. So that's not really a worry about like the ones that I place, because like if that ends up being an issue where I place one down that's like super far away, which won't be relevant anyway, because only one level is loaded at a time. So it's not like rooms at the other side of the game are going to have enemies running away from me, because if I just real quick as a side tangent, if I go into my like persistent level where all my like streaming levels live, I mean, I probably should put in a check for whether or not target is valid and just like put in some patrolling logic as a backup. I mean, you have a good point there. But like every room in the game is its own streaming level, and only one of these is loaded at a time. So if I am here, only these enemies will be like loaded, and even then they will not all be active at the same time until they get activated. But everything else, like everything around here, and hopefully my PC doesn't crash when I try to show this, because that's a lot of things being loaded in now. But everything in like the dungeon up there that I made, like all that is not going to be loaded. Those only get loaded when I actually get there. So it's not like there's going to be enemies all the way back there trying to like get away from me or anything. I mostly do that so that I can be very wasteful with each individual level, because only having to load one at a time means that it's going to perform a little bit better, which means that I can be more lazy. But all that said, I literally have a key for the target, so I might as well just put a blackboard check in here for if the target is valid. Because if it is not, we should probably just have the patrolling logic. So if target is valid, and otherwise fucking different behavior tree, probably should also just make the basic patrol logic its own subtree, because it's always the same anyway. But that can be a fallback. So if there's really nothing else going on and you don't have a target, it'll just patrol. I do like that idea. That said though, the moment this target becomes active, we do want this to... Well, actually, we wanted to abort both, and this needs to abort nothing, I think. Anyway, let's take a look at damaging, right? Because the two things that we are doing right now don't actually damage anything, and that is because our projectile ability is a mess. But it's actually like fairly easy because we have all this like stuff here, but we don't need to do that. Not like a little bit even. All that we need to do is we need to get the payload actor and we need to apply damage on event received, and then we can hook up the damage dealer. I guess would be. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I could just like that's a good idea, probably. Just like make some like character flare animation for him to do. But yeah, okay, runes. Let's see. It sends it to. So do we have like a thing for sender? I don't think we do. I guess we have payload instigator. I guess that's the damage dealer, technically speaking. And then base damage will be. Base damage is misspelled. I just realized that. We have knockback. I guess we also have piercing damage just in case, and then the damage type, all of which is just going to be variables. We don't need to do anything with the knockback ability. We don't do this anymore. We don't do damage gameplay. I think we might be yes. And montage to play, we also do want to keep. So yeah, this will now apply damage to anything that it comes into contact with. And then only on and ability do we. Well, anti-ability. So this should now be able to damage the other things, which means that everything with a projectile will now be able to damage literally anything. Which is probably good. So does this damage him? Fucking a little bit. Not that much, but it does do. Yeah, it's maybe. Just maybe. You should be moving toward him as well. And oh, he still doesn't do the. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, we still haven't fixed everything. If you try to ignore a shaman, its HP is very low. It will try to heal itself with a delay. I already have a different character that has the entire purpose. I need to rework him, but his entire purpose is healing other characters. So, I just need to fix that dude up so he can do his function. It's one of those things where like both the shaman and that like healing lantern. It's a lantern. The idea is that when they're in a group of enemies, you want to take them out first. Because they're either annoying because they do long range attacks or they heal up other stuff. So that is like kind of what's going on there. Now let's see, because I still don't understand why like the runes work, right? So I guess the payload instigator actually has to be cell in both cases as well. Not that that's what's going wrong here, but we might as well set that up properly. I think, yes. So are we just not looking out for the right ability tag? Oh, and ability. Ooh. But no, but it does work for the other one. So that's... Oh, I'm probably just an idiot. Which, I mean, that was lightning attack. Enemy, damage enemy bullets. No, it checks for ability.end. Oh, but that doesn't... But why does it... Oh, I'm so confused. Okay, curse attack has ability.end. Oh, and ability tag, and then... The bold attack... Oh, that just doesn't have... Fuck me. Okay. That should fix that. I think. Maybe. Hopefully. Kind of done with dealing with this whole shaman dude. I'm not gonna lie. Doesn't even reach him, does it? Oh, it does. Just about. But yeah, so now he actually ends the ability, so he doesn't get forever stuck in it. But it does have the slight downside of not dealing any damage at the moment. But there's future worry. Let's just put in like 10 and like 100 and then 0. And then this will be, I guess, lightning damage? Sure, why not? Wouldn't this be resolved if you enable and disable a bull at the end of the task that lets no other task start and block itself? Can no longer repeat the same task twice in a row. The issue isn't that the thing is doing it twice in a row. Like that is fine. I just want to put back the cooldown on this so that there's like a little bit of cooldown time in between. Which also... Fair enough about the sequence, because during this cooldown time, he also like needs something to do. So like he only is allowed to do an attack every 10 seconds or so. And if he does the same attack twice in a row, like that's not a problem. I don't need him necessarily to be alternating. Do you work on projects on request? Not really, usually. Mostly because I have a billion things to do as is, to be very honest. Yeah, Shaman Curse, this will be like 15. Knockback, I don't know, like 150, and then piercing damage. Let's give this one like 5 piercing damage. I think that's fair. Just checking whether or not it deals a bit more damage now. And it like does stuff. This is your job. My job consists of a bunch of different parts. The piercing damage thing doesn't quite seem to be working yet, but that is definitely that part works. Like he is getting annihilated. Holy fuck. Yeah, okay. So maybe, I don't know, maybe deal a little bit less damage with the lightning bolts. Because it'll do the same thing toward the player, and I don't think that is necessarily what we want to have happen. Let's decrease that to like 5. Let's cut it in half. Yeah, now so I'm like a freelance video editor slash YouTuber slash programmer, I guess. But I don't do programming freelance really. I do programming for YouTube, for like this game. Also, what's your handle on multiplayer? I avoid it like the plague, because I hate it. Wait, did I just... Did I just put a timer on his movement? I just put a timer on his movement. Oh my god. I need to put a timer on this. Yeah, so he always should like be allowed to move. You ever work with C in Unreal? Yeah, most my like deeper code is in C++. Man, his AI is certainly something. I guess. Um. Hmm. I kind of feel like maybe. Oh, this is definitely the wrong behavior tree as well. I kind of feel like maybe this cooldown. I don't know. I like the idea of an enemy that can slow down the player character. I do like that. I'm going to keep that in mind. Maybe that's like a fun thing for him to do. Like after he does an ability, he always does another ability that applies like a temporary gameplay effect to the player. To slow them down or something. Which would make it also more difficult to run away from the lightning. So that actually works out fairly well. Not what we're working on right now, but that works out fairly well. I like that idea. I'm going to keep that in mind. Okay, so now that we have that set up, right? I think it should be relatively straightforward to take this guy, copy him over, and summon a golem. It's not really a golem. It's just an artificial being. Just a flying like robot thing. You'll see what he looks like in a moment. The flying golem. What? There we go. We're almost there. What the fuck is going on with this head? Oh, it's because the shaman's blueprint. Hold on. There we go. Needs to be a little large. I mean, I didn't mean for him to still have his emissive material. But maybe having the emissive material is kind of neat. I like the consistency, I think, more in like the design of the enemies or allies in this case. All having like just being pure see-through. I think I prefer that. So in theory, this should effectively just immediately work. I don't need to like change anything about this. Then we just update targets. Would you ever be interested in working in a team and a manageable project? I mean, never say never, but I can't see myself doing much to that degree anytime soon. You could make shaman variants that does something unique skills. I mean, making variants of existing enemies definitely would help because it would mean that I have a new variation of an enemy without needing to make like an extra character for it, which is always welcome. I have no idea how any of this works anymore, if I'm being like 100% honest with you. But I think most of this should just like straight up work, because this just... What the fuck even does this do? Find patrol location flight. Okay. That's probably why it doesn't work, why it doesn't fly around. Okay. Patrol location. There we go. Oh, flight location. Also good. It doesn't have a flight location. Am I... patrol location. Okay, good. If not, it waits, sets a patrol location, And if distance to its... Yeah, so I think everything about this just works, like, immediately. Which would be a nice change of pace. Spoilers, it's probably not going to work immediately, because fucking why would it? First things first, I want to check if just a normal flying golem enemy works. In theory, it should always try to move itself up to at least 300 units above the ground before it tries to like move around or attack. Or when it initially moves around, it always picks a move to location at least 300 above the ground, and at most I think like 450 or something. And it will ignore all of its like other stuff until it gets there. Oh, you definitely also... Okay, you're just kind of vibing, aren't you? Yeah, just kind of hanging out. Let's see. Okay, so float height is not greater than 300. So it tries to... It waits. Then it goes to patrol flight location. I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to, like... What even is this? I think this is a C++ class that I wrote like a long time ago, so it's probably very bad. Presumably somewhere in here. And then move toward flight location. Is it just called Blackboard Base? I don't know which class this is, which is the worst part. No, the keys are patrol location and patrol location, I think. Yeah. So the keys are the same. It's just I don't think the key is set properly at all, which I actually can just check. Yeah, patrol location is invalid, and it immediately gets set to invalid again. So why does it do that? Oh. Because this service clears the blackboard. Okay, I had a service that's clearing the blackboard key, so that is probably why it was invalidated immediately. No! What? What in the world instantly invalidates? Is it the move to? Yes. Something about the move to. Oh, what the fuck are we doing? Something about the move to flight location seems to instantly invalidate it. Which I guess means that it's reached it or something, but... I mean, this entire, like, move to thing is fucked anyway, if I'm being real with you. We need to revise this badly with the new three-dimensional navigation system plugin that I got a while ago. But I guess we can just... Oh, this is find patrol location. Yeah, so that all seems to add up. Is nav enabled on it. It doesn't even use like any built-in navigation because it's three-dimensional, and Unreal for some reason didn't think that would be necessary to make a default feature of the engine. It's this thing, right? And this is just like actually horrible because what it does, I think... Yeah, this is actually like super bad. Because it just updates it and checks whether or not it's close enough. How does it get moved to without nav? It doesn't use a normal move to node, right? Like the thing that we just had opened up here. Like this is the function. Again, very bad function. That just like moves it every time it gets triggered. So And it doesn't even like have any delta time or whatever. So what it probably should do is like, if I'm going to do it this way, it should do it within like its own tick event, so that it at least has delta time. But it's just hard coded to move in a straight line toward its destination, and when picking the destination, it checks whether or not it can move there in a straight line. Which is why this needs to be updated to have better navigation with the plugin that I bought. Because I'm not writing that myself, I'm not insane. So I don't really feel like spending too much time on like fixing this, if I'm being super honest with you. Because if I just set this thing to be like a little higher up, it will just like work and start shooting me. Its bullets go through the ground, but all that aside. And it just killed itself. Oh yeah, the bullets can hurt their owners as well, can't they? Yeah, hold on. Let's let's make sure that that's not a thing that can happen. Yeah, basic projectile. Apply damage. Let's check if payload target is not equal to the avatar of this ability. Because that's a little silly. Yeah, okay. So apparently with one of its attacks, the bullet just happens to over... Oh, now it actually is moving. So the only issue that it has is if it's on the ground, it kind of messes up, I think. Which again, we'll worry about like making this better later. That's not really the point of what we're doing right now. It is still in attacking mode because the bullet didn't end when it overlapped with the ground. Again, this is very much a like testing issue, because now it will reset, right? Surely. No, it won't, because these things spawn in a bullet. This is actually gonna be more annoying to... What the fuck? More annoying to switch up than I thought. So let's... Okay, if all it needs to do is fly up, why not make a trade? It needs to do more than fly up. It needs to move to a location, just like a patrol location, that is between 300 and 450 units up from it, but it doesn't just move in its own up direction. Like, it also moves in the X and the Y direction. So it needs to like pick a location and check if it can move to that location in a straight line, because I don't have any better navigation at the moment. And that's where it's apparently messing up. But yeah, it does use line traces to decide what 300 to 450 above ground level is. But the way it works right now is like very, very bad. So it needs to be like improved at some point. So we can just kind of steal this away, I guess. Put that in there. This is going to be a little iffy to set up, but we'll get there. And I guess we use cast to character and then get mesh from there, right? Yes. I get the arm socket for the right side because it's going to be the same mesh, so it'll have the same sockets, so that's fine. Then we can use these as the instigator and the owner. So we can use this as the instigator and the fuck me. I guess it doesn't need an instigator. Okay, sure. Fine with me. Still feel like it should be a function unless the other task is interrupting it flying up. You mean these attacks? Like, there's literally no difference between making this... Like, I can make it a function in here. Like, I can just, like, I can put it in there if you want to. But that, like, there's literally not a difference between doing that or doing it, like, as an event here. Except that here it's easy to spot. I mean, flying up from the ground. Like, we need to revise all that anyway, so I'm not thinking about that too much right now. I mean, this thing is still shooting something called a spider projectile, which, I don't know, doesn't look very spidery to me, because I don't have a projectile for this guy himself yet. But yeah, how we end up implementing, like, all the... all the other stuff. Like, this could be a function, to be fair, with just like this as a parameter in, but it's one of those things that it's like, it's this is like final layer scripting, so it doesn't really matter if it's not super scalable, aside from the fact that I definitely needed to copy the name of that thing before deleting it. Hold on. As far as like the flight of the enemy goes, yeah, that's probably going to end up being... it depends on how the plugin that I bought works, to be honest, because I very much assume that it has a behavior tree task that just does that. Just like the normal move to, which will like stay active as long as it's moving and that kind of stuff, like asynchronously. So I'll probably just end up using that if that exists. If that doesn't exist, we'll figure it out at some point, I'm sure. Yeah, so all about this, we're just going to get rid of all this because I don't even know what the actual hell is happening with any of this. But I don't think it's important. Whenever it hits another actor, we just check whether or not it is the instigator, and if it is not the instigator, we just make it explode. Other actor is not equal, which I guess also means that whatever we just did in the ability isn't really necessary because it's not going to do any of this. But sure. And I know that it only destroys this on the next frame, but it feels wrong to destroy something and then do something else with it. Name of the plugin? That's a fantastic question. I don't have it installed yet. Let me see. Flying... I think it's this one. Yeah, I think it's this one that I got. Flying navigation system. Is it updated to 5.5? Yes, it is. Okay, so I can install it in 5.5 as well. And this effectively just makes a 3D nav mesh, as I understand it, and then has a handful of different pathfinding algorithms to use. It looks really good. And if I understand correctly, I think this one even can like dynamically update the navigation information on runtime. I don't think it's needed for what I needed to do, so I'm probably going to bake it, but yeah, this looked like the way to go. Because I really don't want to write my own version of this. Okay, so this is enemy damage bullet, but then it also needs to send... Wait, when it... Oh, when it deals damage, it doesn't... Okay, so we also... need to send one with an ability. We'll do that delay until next tick, just to be sure. Ability end. Payload. I don't think payload really matters for ability end, does it? Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So we just keep that empty. Yeah. Implementation. This plugin does not contain any movement components or behavior trees. It only implements 3D pathfinding algorithms. The crowd system is currently not supported for flying agents. It requires specific features from NavMesh. Okay, so I'll still need to do my own movement, which I guess is fine. I guess I don't think that's entirely true though, right? Because it might not involve its own navigation component, but I think it can just use your character movement components, flying states, from what I understand. But it doesn't involve any behavior tree nodes then. But that shouldn't be too... Let's see. Yeah, so it has a navigation system class, flying navigation system, which by all accounts I would imagine just lets you use normal move too. Right? Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you can just use normal move too then. Because it gives you a custom navigation system class. Which I'm fairly certain means that Unreal itself can just use the data that this thing generates to tell the movement components, hey, this is the thing that you're going to move to. And Unreal's own NavMesh navigation might be two-dimensional, but it still can do a differentiation in height, right? So it's actually three-dimensional. It's just it's always stuck to the floor. So it fully has support for navigating two different height levels. So I think that's just the way that this is going to work. But I haven't looked into it too deep yet. Yeah, so it's just it creates a unique path, but Unreal's Move 2 can still deal with 3 dimensions. So that's probably actually going to be relatively easy to implement. Once we get to it, that is. Okay, so what we were doing? We were doing a thing. The thing that we were doing, oh yeah, the spider projector. Okay, so this is heavily simplified now. I don't know how this is going to work, or if it's going to work at all at this point, but let's see. Okay, that's a bad start. Not gonna lie, that's a really bad start. I don't know. Hello? Attack me again, please? What's your problem? You're still rotating toward me. Oh, which probably means that the ability hasn't landed. But hold on. I'm gonna stand on a place where I'm safe for a little bit. Oh, it still thinks it is attacking. So it still probably has the ability active. I guess. Let's actually even better. Let's just add a breakpoint. Okay, so it does do this. Oh, but then it immediately destroys the actor. So that's not what we want to do at all, is it? No, but that's when this thing overlaps with something. But it's not. It's overlapping with what? The actor that it's overlapping with should not be its instigator. Does this thing not get an instigator set? It doesn't get an instigator set, does it? Yeah, no, it doesn't. That'll be why. Flying units feels more like an alarm bot. I feel like it would be nice to shine a light on you and turn red as it tries to attack. That's maybe not a bad idea. Let's first focus on him not shitting himself, but okay. Is that because the project... I always do F5 instead of F8. No, the projectile did leave. Because we did do ability end. So does... Oh, I guess this thing doesn't... Yeah, this thing doesn't have an ability end tag either. Which means that most likely the other one, which would be this one... No, sorry. This one also still needs that. Okay. And then it moves a little bit. Then it waits. It moves. And it can attack. Okay, so it's attacking. Yeah. Okay, at this point, like we get the point. The breakpoint can go away. Okay, so at this point that works. Now that that works, I think we've finally gotten to the point where this guy should work as well. Let's save everything that we've done. And after we get this guy working, I think we're going to call it a day for now. Which means that we only have the spider left after this, I think. Yeah, we did the shaman, we did the zombie, we did the golem. I probably will do the spider off screen, because the spider is effectively just a golem that can't fly. And has a lot more HP. So it's going to be super easy to do. Hopefully. I don't know, we'll see. If this goes well, we might just do the spider right away after it. I feel like... maybe, maybe not. Gameplay abilities. Summons... summon golem flying. We'll summon a golem. Items. Yeah, we need to make a separate folder for all these summons, because this is going to be a mess otherwise. What temporary texture are we going to use for this one? Let's make a fun one. Just black. Nah. I need to go in and just take some screenshots of these guys so that I can use them as icons. But for now, so there's a lot of like testing textures here. Fucking sure, we'll use the zombies base color. That'll work, I guess. Actually, I think this guy is gonna have slight problems. Because when I try to spawn him in, he's not gonna work because he's gonna spawn in on ground level and that's gonna fuck up his AI, I think. What the? Okay, we didn't change this. No, we did. What? I guess it didn't get saved yet? Oh, I'm an idiot. We didn't change this. You can tell that my brain is starting to unbrain itself. And there's not a lot of brain to begin with. Yeah, so this guy is just kind of gonna get like stuck and then crash my entire engine because reasons. Yeah, it's this fucking find patrol location thing that's screwing me. For purely testing purposes, I have a way around this, but I think one of the next things to do is implement that new flying navigation system, which will also help with the flying lantern because I still need to re-implement that one. Because I do like the idea that he's a dude who just goes around to heal other enemies. But that can be a thing that we can look at maybe like next week. But next week I also want to do some other like magic spell stuff, so we'll see. Let's open up all the stuff that we had open, just in case we need to access any of it. And then hopefully not crash. Will be ideal. Can we please just start? Can we please just like have a responsive engine? Hello? There we go. Well, it was responsive for a moment. There we go. Okay, so the idea that I have is I jump onto this, I jump in the air, and then I summon him. Okay, slight tweak to that idea is I go into his character movement component and I set him to flying. Flying. There we go. How do we do this with the other guy? I guess we literally just can look at his blueprint. Which is on the other monitor. I'm sorry about that. Default land movement. Yeah, flying. That should do it. That's the wrong thing. It's not that. Or did I do it for the shaman? I think I did. No. Summon golem. Oh, maybe I did it for the summon shaman. Hold on. Yeah, I just did it for the wrong thing. Okay, never mind. It should be on this one. So we set this one to flying by default so it doesn't fall down. Okay. 3 times the charm. Let's get this thing. I probably should just immediately add it to my inventory shortcuts, but whatever. Okay. He's up there. The fuck? Okay, let's just real quick look at this. Find patrol location, flight line 49. Oh, it's part of one of these. Enemy get actor location. That'll be the issue, I think. Because we're... okay. We're... Why do we even need that to be an enemy? T actors to ignore, add, cast, enemy. Oh, it's cast to actor. Where does enemy even get? Okay, if enemy, a enemy is... Why would we even need to cast that a second time, you fuckhead? We'll just replace this by get what? Get actor location. Yeah, no, all of this relies too much on enemy anyway. We need to rewrite this entire thing, and I'm not doing that tonight. So, we're just gonna pretend like that works. And I will... There's no reason to rewrite this when we're just going to remove and replace it anyway, right? Like, why would I spend half an hour on this when we're going to spend 2 hours replacing it regardless? That doesn't seem like a productive use of my time at all. But we did make a little bit of progress. We had like 3 new enemies or allies summons added. They're, of course, fairly basic in their functionality, but they work. And we only have the rework of the mid-air navigation and the spider to do, which I'll probably do in my own time, so that next week on stream we can do some other exciting stuff. I'm thinking we do some extra magic spells to balance out the amount of summon spells that we have now created. And then I think it's time for some playtesting. So it's been a good one, and I will see you all back on Tuesday again. Maybe Tuesday I will have my dual streaming set up figured out, and I'll also be live on Twitch. Who knows if it works, because God knows it better. Thank everybody for joining in, stopping by, and I'll be back later. See ya.